We are live, Brent. How are you
We
doing?
are live, and somehow I think our theme song's going to have something to do with the 3, 2, 1, go.
We'll have to figure something out. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just take requests? I had to go through. I had to do that. To do a walk-up song. I was fortunate enough to be the opening keynote for a conference a couple of weeks ago, Mopsapalooza in Anaheim, and it was the first time that I had the opportunity to do something like that. I mean, I've been on stages multiple times. Most recently, a lot of breakout type sessions. This was a group of about 450, pushing 500 marketing ops professionals. It's kind of interesting. The operators are starting to take over, which is cool.
Yeah.
I like it because I'm an operator, and people are starting to realize, hey, there's beauty in process, there's beauty in data, there's beauty in systems, and those things help people get moving along, and it doesn't necessarily get in the way of creativity. There are a lot of people out there who will say process and data and systems get in the way of creativity. I would actually challenge you to think of some of the most beautiful pictures that you've seen when you look at fractals and say, oh, you know what, process, data, and systems actually can be amazing, and they carry the flexibility to do some things. But you have to do the walk-up song, and we went back and forth on different ones. Do you remember which one you recommended?
I recommended a few, and then I think the last two I recommended were my favorites because I just stumbled upon them, and I'm like, oh, these would be great. I don't remember what they were though.
The one of them was an Elvis song.
Oh yes, a little less conversation, a little more action, please.
Oh, yeah. And why would you recommend something like that for me?
Because you're always talking about execution.
so
it landed so people. Hard for me. I was like, I have it in my mix. So there was an Elvis show at Vegas the year that I moved Devlin from San Jose to Vegas. And when we went there to check out the Aria, they gave us free tickets to go check out the show. And I remember they just basically took a bunch of Elvis songs and modernized them a little bit. And so there's a guy that does mix compilations that kind of that jacked up the song a little bit, and gave it a little bit more funk. And so it struck me a certain way. So it's always been in my play mix. And so it popped up that coincidentally that day.
It was awesome. And I think one of them was the Curly Shuffle.
That's
there's no way that I could walk up in a group with that going on. I guess there probably would be a way, but it would take a little bit for me.
Do people even know the Curly Shuffle though anymore?
I don't know. Do you have your soundboard all set up where you could actually play it? Actually, that'd probably get us into a little bit of trouble.
It would probably turn us off on sorts of stuff.
The thing that was cool though is when you know people who've done this stuff for a while, and those people know you, when you ask them a question, you ask them for help, they can actually provide useful help. Like for me, I'd likely go up with Thunderstruck or Back in Black or some kind of stuff from
the classic one that baseball players use. Yeah,
those kind of things. And then what was cool, and I'll shorten the story up here a little bit, but the one of the themes of this, and again, marketing operations conference, process data tools, a lot of AI out there in the world and kind of in the workplace theme that they decided to go with. Mike and Audrey, the people who run the community and organize the event, they went with a matrix. There was a matrix theme to their part of the kickoff. So I went with Rage Against the Machine, Wake Up, and I don't know that there were that many people in the room who got the connection between the Matrix in that song, which was surprising, but at the same time, I don't know, but it was pretty cool.
You went deep on that one. You went way too deep on that one.
I went, yeah. So, but that's again, that's me, I guess. Like you like to know, I mean, because I think and this probably what will end up happening with this thing as we go along. There's always going to be there's always going to be like the inside baseball undertone story that's there for for the people who want the detail. Like, we'll joke about old man shouting at clouds, or the get off my lawn, or back in the day, or those kind of things, and we'll have fun about those. And the reason why we'll continue to have fun with that stuff is it creates a deeper connection. And then the people who know, who are part of the community, start to get into it, and it just helps to build, again, more connection. So thanks for letting me ramble on a to kick things off on a Wednesday morning. It's like we've reversed roles.
It still feels like Monday to me. So, it's one of those days. But yeah, I know. I also feel very weird. I feel like the size of my camera is like I'm squishing you and pushing you.
It's only because I wanted to take some of the parts of the frame.
I know some of the hotel background now, but come on, it's okay. People know you're traveling. Mike's traveling, everybody. He's got a hotel background, and it's not as cool as we'd want it to be, but it's okay. When you're doing daily, you got to roll with wherever you are.
It is definitely not a whiteboard.
So here's a great story. When I committed to first doing the daily thing, it was mostly out of a forcing discipline upon myself. And you had a great post about discipline and accountability yesterday. But I was so committed to making sure it happened for at least 365 days that I was on my way to an event at the exact same time that I was supposed to be live streaming. And so I just streamed from my car while I was driving. And I got far too many people commenting saying, maybe you should have just canceled today. You sure this is safe? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's totally fine. I'm a professional.
You are a professional. It's fine. It's interesting. This is not the route that we were. Well, anyway, it's part of this thing is we're going to go whatever route it is that we decide to go. We're just going to keep it to 30 minutes and keep that thing tight.
That's our only rule.
It's amazing. It's amazing how many people will tell you shouldn't do something because they wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. You know what I mean? Like, are you sure that's safe? Well, you know what? I've been driving for 25 some odd years, or 50 some odd years, or 75 some odd years if you're Brent. But like you go through this process of like, hey, I know I've got my systems, I've got my things around me. Can I do it? Yeah. And then I'm aware of what my distractions are, but I'm not. It's not like you're staring at the camera while you're doing it, right?
It was like talking on the phone. It wasn't a big deal. It's like it's not like I was staring into the camera, trying to make eye contact with my audience or anything. I was very clear what I was doing, and I was like, hey, let's roll with it. And I had a co-host that day too, so it was fun.
Well, and it wasn't like you were monitoring the live chat.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, anyway,
I was still quite focused on the road, but yeah. All right. So anyway, so give me a quick screen share. Let's do the let me do the Gemini. Share. Oh, I need to do that. Yeah, you don't.
You need to do it. Yeah, you just hit that little button down there, and we're going to be testing some tech. We're actually going to test something. I think I've not seen it done by anybody yet, and let's see if we can move things around. Add to scene. There we go. I've not seen what Brent and I are going to test. We might get it done later this week. It may end up being pushing into next week, but please keep watching, pay attention to us. You guys are going to like this test because it's going to be different, and it's going to create a higher level of engagement in this kind of operating environment. Hello, Brent.
I know, right? I love it. Yeah. So Command Plus is a great Chrome tab hack. Thank you very much for sharing that yesterday. All right. So this is our tell me today's news about learning and development. There's probably a better prompt, and if others would like to share a better prompt to get better information back, that would be fantastic if you drop it in the comments. But since this is what I used yesterday, we'll use it again today.
Do you think it's going to be different?
I don't know. I don't think so, but it would be interesting.
I hope so, but
yeah. Oh, well, here we go. It is different.
Oh, look at this. Yeah.
The AI skills gap and the enablement gap. There we go. That's what we're talking about. Let's see what else we got. Key trends and strategic priorities for L&D. And then, recognitions and initiatives that are going on. Lots of people talking about the Learning Technology Awards.
All right, I'm pleasantly impressed that today is different than yesterday. Now, using these tools a bit, I know that if you ask the same question, even within the same couple of minutes, you're going to get a different answer. So, like, that's the answer is not. It's not like asking a question of an encyclopedia, or like where if you happen to get yours in '84 and you're doing research in '96, where certain countries in Europe are going to have different borders. Like it just isn't. It's not that, which is cool. It also is one of those where it kind of. So I think that's a cool part about it. But the other part is it makes you. I put this statement in there: buyer beware. Like trust but verify.
Well, this is it's a good segue to do a short deep dive into how AI works, and I tend to joke about it with people when we talk about it. It's just every single word that comes up is just based on a statistical percentage of times that the system learned that in human language which word possibly could come next in making a sentence. And so I always visualize AI as the dungeon master of a D&D journey. And when it's time for the next word, they're rolling the 20-sided die, looking for the next word that's going to come up, and whatever number it is the next word that pops up.
It describes most of our conversations.
It does that too. All right, so the AI skills gap and the enablement gap. The central theme across reports is the widening gap between AI awareness, adoption, and actual employee competence. Well, he must have rolled a lot of 20s on that one, because I don't know, it kind of feels right.
It's yeah. Well, I mean, it ends. I think we talked about this yesterday a little bit about the impact of bias too. Like, I'm going to I look at something like this, I'm like, cool, we're doing the right thing, because a lot of what we're talking about, and you can see it right there, organizational enablement. I mean, the beauty of that is if you go to that URL, you pop into a Catalyst site, the one just above it. I don't know if it's that, but that, or if you go to organizationenablement.com, you'll go to a Catalyst site, and it's so some of it is confirmation bias, some of it's recency bias, some of it's a number of the different cognitive biases that are out there. But this is cool. I think this is going to be an interesting test, just to do this a couple of times in the morning when we kick things off, just to see what pops up. Anything specific you want to talk about on this one, or do you want to get into something else?
Not that I have a whole bunch of different directions we can go in. I was thinking about communities a lot. I'm always thinking about communities a lot. I was thinking about learning in general. Maybe here's a good topic that I think we should talk about. I love it when I see, and maybe it fits into one of these topics really nicely. Let's see, key trends, impact ROI, rethinking compliance training, micro learning, just-in-time support, skills-based. No, okay, never mind. So I can stop sharing. We'll do that every day, and everybody go ahead and do the same thing, and then share it with us. But anyways, so I'm reading LinkedIn last night, and I ran across somebody giving a review of the first keynote at DevLearn, and it got me thinking. And apparently, you and I were at DevLearn, but we were not at the keynote event. And he apparently made the statement, learning is a science, or learning is science. And God bless her. Somebody put a comment. So whoever was reviewing it put their favorite phrases, and that was like the first one. And so apparently he ran through a bunch of different things, and the comment countered the statement, and she gave a lot of clarification around the incorrect semantics being applied in that particular case. And I had to just shoot her a direct message and just tell her how much I appreciated her jumping in, because that's one of my main kicks, is that we don't use the words right in our industry, and it gobbles everything up, and it causes confusion, and it makes for bad marketing. It makes for confused customer base. It makes for just a lot of, it causes a lot of issues that don't need to exist. We don't need to overcomplicate like what it is that we do, So like, I don't know. I mean, as somebody in the L&D industry, Mike, but not an academically trained instructional designer, how does that phrase strike you? Learning is science.
So my initial response is science is testing. It's testing and then gathering feedback. It's we talk about the scientific method. It's having a hypothesis. So you observe something, you have a hypothesis on what would happen if you do something. Then you go out there and you test it. And when you test it, you take the feedback. And then from that, you either determine, did the thing happen that I expected to happen, or did it not happen? And if it didn't happen, then you start to test different things. If it did happen, then you retest and confirm that you've been able to do it. So from that perspective, I think it's an interesting way to look at the process of learning. You're looking at the feedback loops that you have in order to determine things and get better at it. I do not believe that more than, this is going to sound harsh, but I'll be direct. I think the percentage is pretty low of the people in that room who would be able to describe the details behind the science, describe the scientific method, and demonstrate how they've applied it anytime in the last 25 years, given that many of the people are over 45 and the last time they were in school was more than 25 years ago. So that's the hard part. I don't know. Is that too harsh?
Well, I don't know. Could be totally wrong. I mean, somebody could correct us if they want, and they can tell us we're wrong all they want. But sure. I think it's an interesting conversation, and I don't know how it was followed up. So maybe he clarified, and the blog post reviewing it just didn't go into that clarification. And so maybe somebody could give us that clarification. But I kind of oversimplified it in my head and thought, well, I mean, depending upon how you define both words, learning and science, is really whether or not it comes out right or correct or whatever. But learning to me would be like an outcome of science, right?
Application.
Yeah. It's like what you've learned something, right? You've it's a process you use to come to a conclusion. Like you said, the scientific method, you have a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis over and over again. It comes out a certain way. And so you've learned that your hypothesis is either right or wrong. You probably learned a whole bunch of other stuff along the way too, maybe what size, beaker to put the fluid in or something. I don't know. Hey, I got a different response when I heated the thingamajigger at 300 degrees as opposed to 400 degrees. Maybe I should change my hypothesis, So I think to say, the reason why the scientific method exists is for us to learn new things. And there is a scientific definition or explanation for how we learn, but I don't think it is science.
It's what are the ones what are the words that I get hung up on? And I get hung up on words too. It's when people put ology at the end of something. So, biology. What is biology? The science of
living things.
Living things, right? Okay, so psychology. What's psychology? The science or the study of
the psyche.
The brain, yeah, right? Like, so people will put things in and they'll say, I have this methodology. So do you have a method or do you have the study of a method? Anyway, but you start to get into this kind of nuance there. And I think the key piece is, when you're in a conversation with somebody, just ask this very simple question. What do you mean by that? Because the words that they use are going to be slightly different. If I hold an apple up in my hand, I don't have one in here, it's a prop right now, but I hold an apple up in my hand, Brent and I would call it an apple. If we went a little bit further south of where we live, they would call it a manzana. It's still the same thing, but there's just a different word that we use to represent that thing. So just ask the question. Ask the question, hey, what do you mean by that? And I hope the person who did the review went up and spoke to the person who delivered the keynote and said, hey, you said this. What do you mean by it? Because it was interesting. What I think is absolutely awesome, and I talked about the keynote that I did, I would love for someone to do a review of that. Like that to me, that kind of feedback is amazing, because then I get a view of, hey, what did somebody hear? Because I know what I was trying to convey, but what did they hear? Because there's things that are said, there are things that are heard, and there are things that are remembered, and very rarely are they the same. Yes. And this one's a pretty cool one. It turned into this kind of conversation, which is what we need, what I'd like to see more of, which is healthy discourse.
Yeah. What we're trying to get to is clarity, right? And we think, to your point, I always love that particular phrase of yours. You have a lot of them, but the things that are said, the things that are heard, and the things that are remembered, and getting to that clarity. Sometimes I don't like to push back, but lately I've been asking that question more often to get the clarity. I'd rather just assume that what I heard was what they meant, especially if it confirms a bias of mine. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he meant by that. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So wrong. But there are moments too where I feel like I've gone over the edge and I've pushed for too much clarity, and it comes across like I'm stupid and why didn't I understand? And I kind of like, I feel like that anyways. I feel like, how come he didn't get it? If I ask that clarifying question, are they going to think he's not smart enough to understand what I said, and now I have to say it again? In most cases, that's never happened. It's just irrational fear.
One of the things I say, when I'm in front of groups of people, if I'm training on something, or lead a workshop, whatever the scenario is, I will. There are a couple of things, but I kind of pull the string back and the same words come out. Like, never assume that I know anything is another one. But one of the things I'll do at the beginning is remind folks that it is our obligation as leaders to ask questions. Yeah. If you have a question, ask it, because somebody else in the room may not feel comfortable asking the question, but they likely will have the same question. So as a leader, stand up and ask the question. Now, there's also a couple of other things, like, is it the right time for that question? Like, someone's in a timed keynote playing, thing,
Don't stand
raising
up in
your
the back
hand.
and go.
It's inappropriate. That would not be appropriate. It doesn't align with what would be good behavior. But pulling them aside later, when you see them in the hallway or see her in the hallway, you can ask that question. So there's a right time and right place for every question. And I firmly believe that we as leaders, it's our obligation to ask those questions, because somebody else is in the room who just doesn't have the same level of experience, doesn't have the same level of confidence, doesn't have the whatever, but that answer is going to help people, help the plane get landed.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that what we are doing here every single day is to help people get that clarity in a fun way. And if we've said something that you need to get some clarity on, please ask. To Mike's point, don't assume we know anything. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. It's like I speak from the experiences that I've had. That's all I can speak to. I don't just make stuff up willy-nilly. It's like, and I think everybody has opinions formed on the experiences they've had, the books they've read, the LinkedIn posts they've read, the people they've encountered, the conversations they've had. And but just not everybody freely expresses them. For some reason, I'm one of those strange people that to process information, talking about it seems to be the best way to do it. And so to get somebody to push back is fantastic for me. I don't know. I know not everybody's like that. I mean, some people can just sit and read a book and, cover to cover, every single word, consume it, remember most of it, and they're good to go. They can tell you about it. Oh no. I can barely get through a paragraph without sitting there questioning. Well, really? I don't know. Maybe not. I need to talk to somebody about this. I'm not sure. Or, oh, it's really cool. I totally dig what they said. But what about, there's some other things that leads to. And then my brain starts pattern matching and putting all these things together and making connections that probably weren't meant to be connected. But I'm off to the races. Something sparks something. And then there you go. It's like I was telling you this morning. It's kind of what happened this morning before I jumped onto the microphone. There were plenty of unnecessary matchings going on, but actually some good ones too that I need to remember to write down as soon as we're done here.
Got to write it down. So like that's it. Like there's a, as you mentioned, I'm not classically trained in learning or instructional design. I went to Arizona State University. I graduated with a 2.0. Yep. I had to get A's in my last 8 classes just to get the GPA up to the point that I could graduate. And I'm still here. Like the school was never my thing, though. That was never the thing for me. What I have realized, though, over time and building my own process and building processes I work with other folks is you learn, you think, you connect the dots between what you just learned and what you already know. So you pattern match, you connect dots, and then you take action. And if you do those things over and over and over again, the likelihood of the forgetting curve to have an impact on things, Ebbinghouse's stuff, is very low, starts to diminish. So I've operated in the learning space. So that's how I know some of these things. I am not one of those people who you read it once and it just sticks in your brain. My sister's like that. One of my sisters is like that. I'm one of those people that if I hear it or see it, I'll remember it. Like if I either see it on a board or we're having a conversation, I'll remember that conversation typically. Now, I won't remember what I was supposed to pick up at the grocery store when I'm walking down the aisle, but I will remember the stupid little nuance type things. There was somebody threw a number up, the bathroom code. I play a decent amount of golf, probably more golf than humans should at this point in time, but whatever. I enjoy it, and it's my place to kind of reflect. Well, the bathrooms now have a code, and the code now is 1345. And immediately I said, that's the P.O. box for the original Scottsdale answer. Like, who in the hell else would know 1345 and have that just jump out there? So, of course, I've got a couple of friends who gave me shit. There we go. We just cursed on this thing. So we've opened that up. But yeah, it's just, I think the point is people take in information differently. People process information differently, create that experience for people to be able to do it and think about what else in the experience can reinforce something. Like, have you ever, can you think of a time where you've smelled some kind of like horrible smell, like just some disgusting smell that is unforgettable? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, I used to have Volkswagen, and like I grew up with Volkswagens, and the rotten egg smell was always battery acid. You could smell that. You could smell that a mile away, and you knew something was wrong with the battery when you smelled the rotten eggs.
But you remember that more than some kind of flashing indicator light. Like that
Yep.
flashing indicator light goes off. What's that light again? What do
Oh
I
yeah,
need to do?
and burning, melting wires. Oh yeah, it has a very distinct smell. And in a Volkswagen, well, I should clarify. Sorry, Volkswagen, old Volkswagens. I'm talking a 1960s Bug. Okay, so rewired it myself, which is why I smelled melting wires an awful lot. So there's that.
All right. Well, we've gone just a little bit over. Brent, where can people anything else to wrap things up or
No, I think that's pretty good. I was noticing the time too, and I'm like, well, dang it, we didn't. You lost your bet, but oh well. Yeah, just hook up with us on LinkedIn. Connect with us. We're going to start testing some other things here coming soon. Just everybody know that this is just getting started, and we're just testing things out. And anything can happen. So hang out with us, help guide the conversation. This is, you're a big part of it. So yeah, give us your questions.
The thing I'd like everybody to do, when you listen to this, add in a comment about things that you'd like to, or things that make an experience like this more valuable from your perspective. Like, what is it? What draws you to it? As much as Brent and I'll banter back and forth for 30 minutes every morning at 6 o'clock Mountain, we're definitely going to be bringing in guests.
Yeah, somebody asked me that the other day. They're like, "Are you bringing guests in, or is it just going to be the two of you?" And I'm like, "Oh no, we're doing the guest thing too. We're just warming up. This is this is preseason, so we're just we're just getting loose."
So let us know what makes a good experience like this great for you, and it'll help us kind of identify some areas to test. So
we can talk about that tomorrow too. I have ideas.
That's awesome. All right, we will get into that tomorrow. Brent, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Good